Here at the Kohl Center after the Badgers' final preseason game, an 85-56 win over UW Stout in the annual Guarding Against Cancer game. We're joined now by the voice of the Badgers, Matt Lepay. And Matt, 2 preseason games in the book, actually a third that we didn't get to see against Missouri, but the Badgers won them all. Scores don't really matter in the preseason. What did you learn? What surprised you? What did you take away from these couple games?
Well, first, this was a great time to have actually 8 preseason games when you talk about the overseas trip to Australia and New Zealand. What I learned was that you got a couple freshmen who are ready. I think in Brad Davison and Kobe King, which maybe isn't a surprise, maybe it's more of a confirmation than anything else, but you can see why Greg Gard and his staff recruited those guys. And Nate Reuvers too. How much Nate plays, if he plays this year, remains to be seen, but he's a really, really exciting player. So you want to see the new guys. Intrigued with Andy Van Vliet, what he can bring. And I think those are the things that maybe stand out. Really, the freshmen, I think, might be the biggest thing that we've been able to take away from the preseason games. With King and Davison specifically, they look like they're ready for this.
Yeah, they definitely do. Now, we know what we're going to get from Ethan Happ, even though we didn't really see it much in the preseason, didn't take a shot today against UW Stout. But what's the biggest thing this team needs to do in the first month, or you're looking for them to do in the first month?
Well, you look for the support for Happ because he's going to be the focus of every team Wisconsin plays. He's the proven guy with everybody else having moved on with Nigel and Bronson and that group, Vito, that entire group, Showalter as well. So Ethan's going to get a lot of attention. He's still going to get his points, but when he gets double teamed and gets it to the open man, can that open man be a threat? And that's in the form of Demetric Trice, Khalil Iverson, whoever else, whoever the other 4 on the floor are going to be. That's I think the thing you look for here. And if Ethan, if it's something as seemingly simple in theory, harder to do, if the free throw percentage goes up considerably, like people think it can, then a guy who already scored a lot of points last year, you just figure that per game average is going to go up maybe 3 or 4 a game. Who knows this year? Because you figure that he'll get fouled quite a bit.
Yeah, it looks like this team can definitely shoot, at least so far in these couple preseason games, but they have to gel pretty quickly. I know you mentioned a lot of preseason games, but they got a tough November here. Virginia on the schedule, Xavier, Baylor, possibly UCLA or Creighton.
It's possible in the first 5 games, Brandon, they could play 3 teams in the top 25, depending on how the Hall of Fame Classic, how that breaks down, if they draw UCLA in the second game. That always happens. It comes fast and furious with South Carolina State on Friday, 2 days later against Yale, and then the Xavier game on the 16th. It's a challenging non-conference slate. Yes, they're going to have the guaranteed games in there, but when you see a Baylor on the schedule, and obviously Marquette going to Virginia, this will be a very tested team. And remember, the Big Ten season starts early in December with Ohio State and Penn State. Then they go to Temple, and then Marquette here at the Kohl Center. So they will. There could be some peaks and valleys. It'll be interesting to watch with these younger guys, and not when I say that, not just the freshmen. Guys who've been around in the program, but more is there for them to get. How are they going to handle when things get tough? Because they probably will, given the kind of schedule that they're playing. But I'll say today what I mentioned to Chris Hall a couple weeks ago. This is going to be a very enjoyable team to watch. I'm not smart enough to tell you how many games they're going to win, but I think they're going to give teams a lot of trouble this winter.
Yeah, we'll find out pretty fast what kind of team the Badgers are. Matt, thanks for your time. Again, first real game Friday at 6 o'clock against South Carolina State, then right back here next Sunday against Yale. For UWBadgers.com, I'm Brandon Spiegel.